Good afternoon, Whisperers, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Whispers in a Bottle Grown Talk Cocktail Fridays. I am your host, Sonya LaRae, lifestyle relationship counselor, educator, fashion psychologist, and motivational speaker. You guys, I am so excited to be in this room with you all again. We have had such a dynamic week. And I have to tell you guys, thank you all for signing up for Declutter Your Mind. And now you're registered and everything. We're about to turn up in that class and that master class, and you all are just in for a real treat. You get to have that one-on-one time with me, so it's great to be here. And you know what we're all about. Make sure that you like this episode. Also, make sure that you're subscribed so you're notified every time I go live, and share this with someone else because that's what we're about, pouring value into each other and making sure that we show up for each other each and every time. And listen, if you want to be a part of our fabulous newsletter, you see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Make sure that you click the live link that's in the description box and join our newsletter because we have some dynamic things in there. And like I said, if you're a part of our show at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Blog Talk Radio, we have the featured cocktail mocktail of the episode. And I have to tell you all, if you're not in there and you're not getting it, you're missing it. Yes, you are. And I have to tell you, we're excited because in our Zoom group today, we have the Blue Diamond Book Club out of Ohio. And ladies, it is great to have you here. If you have comments or questions along this episode, make sure that you use the chat box, drop in there your questions, your comments, and listen. If you're interested, if you have a book club or you're a part of a social group and you would like to be one of the featured hosts of our show in our private Zoom group, you need to email us at info@whispersinabottlepodcast.com. Once again, that's info@whispersinabottlepodcast.com. So, with that being said, are you guys ready to get into today's topic that came to us via one of you dynamic whisperers? I have to tell you, this letter is fire. So, here we go. I got it. I'm going to read it to you. I got tons of notes to share with you as well on our topic, when to walk away relationships. Uh-oh. Here we go. It says, let me get it here. It says, "Dear Sonya and Whisperers, I guess all good things can or maybe should come to an end. See, I've been friends with someone for a little over 10 years, and we are also in a relationship together." Oh, wow. "As of late, I've just not been feeling as connected, nor do we seem to have the same ideas of what life should look like, what our goals are, and even if we just are moving along out of now obligation because it has been 10 plus years. I guess my question to you is this: how do you know when you should walk away from a relationship slash friendship?" Woo! Wow. Whisperers, right? Woo. Okay. That there is powerful in itself, that letter. I want to thank you for sending in your letter and even allowing us to have this discussion today and on such a deep, deep topic. And so many times that question is asked to me, and many times even in private sessions with other couples or even those that are in counseling. So, I love to always start our episodes off with a clear meaning. So this is not going to be any different. So we're going to get the meaning of walk away. And that means casually or irresponsibly withdraw from a situation in which one is involved or for which one is responsible. So let me give that meaning to you once again. That's a deep meaning, isn't it? So walk away means casually or irresponsibly withdraw from a situation in which one is involved or for which one is responsible. Woo! I know, whispers. Just that definition itself gives how serious this matter of walking away really is. And what, with that being stated, it's tough to walk away from a person or a relationship you love or that you have a deep feeling for. Once you have deep feelings for someone, it's about making some tough and hard decisions that you have to go about. And there are certain things in a relationship, be it from friends to partners, um, that you can't compromise on. And there's some compromises that you should not make as well. And especially if the friendship relationship is toxic. How many times have we had or known someone that has been in a toxic relationship? And oh my goodness, it's just one thing after another, and it's just constantly something that is happening inside of it. Well, if it's a relationship that keeps you suppressed and depressed, then you may really want to consider the topic, the idea of really walking away. Yes, whisperers, it's okay to walk away from a toxic relationship and, you're feeling dissatisfied. It's keeping you in a mental rut. Because the biggest thing you have to always remember is that you have to safeguard your mind. And safeguarding our mind at times comes with difficult, challenging decisions to make. Yep, that walking away. Difficult, challenging decision. I know some of you are like, um, what are you saying? What am I to do? Where am I going? It's always, easier said than done when you tell a person that if it's a toxic relationship, you should walk away, because sometimes it takes a little forethought and planning. It does. It takes a lot of forethought and a lot of planning. See, I'm saying if you are in a relationship that isn't healthy for a friendship or a partner, that you step back and do a little recalculation. It's just like when we're trying to figure out certain things, even in our day to day lives, we sometimes have to pause. And the power of pausing is like something dynamic that happens because it allows us to kind of recenter, refocus, and figure out what the key elements are that we have to kind of put back into priority. It's no different even when you're in a relationship. See, your relationship with yourself is by far one of the most important elements that you will have. So I'm going to reiterate that. Your relationship with yourself is one of the most important relationships you will ever have. And the ladies in the Zoom group are tapping in and they're like, definitely. Some are saying that they've had a hard time just trying to make sure that they place themselves in a healthy aspect of looking at self first, not being self consumed. Now, listen, taking care of oneself does not mean that you're self consumed, it does not mean that you're selfish. So a lot of times when I see that and I hear that, a lot of times it's taken in that way. Ladies, hold on just a second because I don't know what happened, but the screen kind of went dark and you're not there for a second there. So let me just get things, technology is something else, people. We're always doing something and always trying to make sure that we got everybody right where they're supposed to be. And so, you know, I got to keep everybody in line here. So it's live. That's why it's live. That's why we come in here together so we can have these dynamic discussions. And what happens, happens because we are live and we're here and we're supporting each other through these things. See, our relationship, this is our relationship here. But see, our relationship is healthy. Our relationship is something that is built on that you can trust me, that you know that every week I'm going to be here on Friday and I'm going to show up authentically as myself. See, it's much like that comment that was in the Zoom group here. See, I'm not being selfish at all. I'm being honest with you. And the same difference is when you start to take care of you, it is not selfishness. By far, self care is actually a loving practice that you really can do. And so, even in a relationship, if you notice that now everything that you're doing has now become that you are not anywhere taking into account or you're not looked after in a healthy way that you're growing, then you may need to refocus and look at it for maybe what it is. And if it's a toxic relationship, then you may need to consider walking away. Because see, that's what we're discussing. When should you or is there anything that qualifies for us to walk away from relationships? And see, a lot of times when you hear that word relationships, your mind instantly goes into a romantic thought. But see, relationships are even those that we develop with friends, associates, co-workers, family members, and that romantic interest. Those are all relationships. And see, and we are thinking and looking at it as in, are we doing something that needs to be really looked at? And do we need to walk away from the relationship? See, whisperers, always bringing things back full circle that I connect those dots for you. And that's why we do these discussions so I can pour into you and I can tell you certain things and we can discuss this openly. And this is a safe zone. So there's no judgment, there's no critical thought here. And your feelings are your feelings. If you agree, you agree. If you don't, we do it with respect. That's it. Because that's the type of healthy relationship we're building. And do I agree with everything that goes into our comment box? Do I agree with everything that is on the topic of everything? No. But that is what makes healthy relationships, the conversation of back and forth. See, we're doing this and we're making sure that we can tap into each other in a way that is going to be healthy. You know, I get asked this question so many times, and many times it is in sessions with clients that are going through a tough or difficult moment within their relationship. um, I always ask them to first and foremost to pause. Remember, I was telling you about pausing and how I told you that, when we pause, it's those things that allow us to really kind of be able to refocus that energy, to really kind of take into consideration what we're doing and how we're going to do it. And why do you think I have you pause though? Some of you may have answered correctly and others may not have. It's because you know why I tell you all to pause? It's because emotions can run so hot. In those moments when you are distressed and you're upset and you and your mate are arguing and you may have exchanged words that were very hurtful. Because see, what people don't realize, words, and they say sticks and stones can break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Yes, they do. and they hit you just as hard as those sticks and those stones. But what people don't realize is this: those words stick to you because those words penetrate your mind and your very heart. See, because if that was the case, sticks and stones break your bones, words can never hurt you. People would not be tripping over the words. People would not be tripping over the feeling of what they felt with those particular words if words didn't hurt us, because they do. So sometimes we have those heated conversations and arguments, and they leave you feeling broken. They leave you feeling vulnerable. They leave you feeling kind of this emoting of emotion that is not really dealt with because the person has put these words out there and left them. And in that moment, your energy and everything is pulsating at a high level. And that's when you have to pause. Because in that minute, you can make a harsh, irrational decision of this topic that we're doing today on walking away. And lo and behold, you walk away from a beautiful relationship that had a misunderstanding. And there have been so many times that I hear this and I see this with couples when they come in for counseling, that it was a matter of communication that they need to work on. But they're at a point where they've thrown their relationships in a bucket as if it's so fractured and broken that it can never be repaired. But lo and behold, they find out through fresh eyes, which is me as a therapist, that it's a matter of communicating. It's a matter of watching the words that bubble forth in a moment of anger. So I have my clients at times just pause. Like, even if they're in the middle of a heated discussion, somebody has to be willing to stop. Because if one person stops, the other person may be angry because you're not replying, but you're taking the moment of not flinging words to hurt that person, in turn, causing the thought of this time I need to walk away. See? Now, I want to discuss a few other factors with you that you may need to consider in depth on why you may need to leave your relationship. And make sure you are taking notes at this point, because, or you pin mark this episode and come back. And if this is something that you're not struggling with, or you don't have a situation like this, that's why I said share it, because someone you know or someone that confides in you may be dealing with this very subject. And these tips may be just the thing they need to get the clarity on if they should walk away from their relationships. So, with that being said, here are a few reasons you may need to walk away from. And these are not in any particular order or anything like that, just so you know. I'm not saying that one is more, you know, important than the other, but these are areas that you should look out for. So the first would be they don't respect you. So if your friend, your romantic interest, or coworkers, or whomever it is that you're in a relationship with, don't respect you. See, respect is the essence of any successful relationship. And I stress any successful relationship. And when there's a lack of respect in a relationship, it indicates an imbalance in partnership. So, you know, if you feel your partner does not respect your feelings, your thoughts, your goals, and needs, you may need to reconsider, or you may need to have a real conversation with the person. Notice what I said. See, there's always two sides of every coin. We always say you can't have a complete story until you hear both sides and then the clear truth. So don't forget that if you're not communicating your needs, you're not communicating your goals, you're not communicating what you need for that respect, how can that happen? Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a good thought or an opinion, and your partner, your friend, or your mate disapproves of your decision and belittles you for your thoughts and opinions. Now, that's the red flag. When you're in a relationship that has respect, it may not be that they really agree with the thoughts, opinion, or goal, but they don't belittle them. They may say to you, well, you know what? That's not a bad idea, what you're saying, but have you ever thought about this, that, or the other? They may even give a suggestion that could actually lead to like a better sense of things and clarity. But if you're in a relationship that has no respect and the person does not value you, that's a whole different other subject there. And then those are things that I say you need to look out for. Those are things that are your red flags, your yellow flag. Because I guarantee you, before this, those flags were there before. And you may have ignored them. But now you're at a point where you're moving forward and you see them, but now instead of them being yellow, they are bright red. And so these are aspects that you have to look out for when it comes to they don't respect you. Now, don't get it, muddied that, well, I have goals and dreams and they don't support me, but they're telling you specifically, like, hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea. But right now, I think if you do X, Y, and Z, it could be better for us or even for you. But because of our thoughts and our opinions and our emotions running so high, may not be able to hear it correctly. So that's why pause. So that's the first one. The second element is this: there's no trust between the two of you. Did you hear that? There's no trust between the two of you. If there's no trust between you two, your relationship is bound to crumble. I hate to tell you that, but that's the truth of the matter. See, relationships are built upon trust because you think about it this way. Oh, good example. There's a great commercial out, and it's speaking about, like, it has this whole element that these people are trying to purchase a car, but they have the man like tied up to a chair, and they're kind of like, oh, well, you know what? You're going to buy this car now, because it kind of gives you the feeling like, oh, they're going to do some harm to him. But on the other side of that coin, what they do, they have this other that they're transparent. They're showing what the car is about. You can go on here, click on this, do that. And it's such a great experience because of the trust factor that they have there. Well, it's the same thing with our relationships. If we don't have that trust factor there and there's no trust there, and people who have broken your trust before, many people and many of us have gone through that. And even trying to reestablish trust is a hard thing. But if that factor of trust is not there, guess what? It's not going to help and it's going to crumble. and things are not going to work out, and the respect is not going to be there because you all don't trust each other in the first place. So, how could respect be there and to build upon anything that could bring forth longevity? There's no way. There's just no possible way. Because your partner knows about your insecurities, but still do not feel the need to resolve them and gain your trust. They don't feel that need, especially when it's lacking already. So, see, you cannot have a healthy relationship with anyone you don't trust. Okay. You cannot have a healthy relationship with anyone you don't trust. And the ladies are in full agreement with this. One even said that that is the reason why she got divorced, because there was no trust in the relationship. And she felt like she was being a security cop looking for every little thing that was going on, from who is he texting to who is he calling. See, you can't have a healthy relationship when you're on I Spy Private Eye 24 hours, 7 days a week. It just does not work out in that manner. It just does not happen like that. Because for a simple fact of it all, you and your mate have got to have trust. You and your friends must have trust, because this is the thing. If you can't trust your friends, how are you to even speak with them or share any deeper elements of your life with them if you don't trust them? So we don't trust them, so we don't respect them. Two things hand in hand: trust, respect. See? The next one is they don't value you. See, love blooms when you value each other and care for each other. Even in friendships, partnerships, business relationships, there's such a bloom that happens when you value another person. I've had great business relationships. I look at my team that is around me, and I value them and I value what they bring to the table. And so, in turn, we have such a great essence together. And Nelson's like, definitely. He's in my headset. See, and that's that value that we bring to each other. And see, and on top of that, because of that value that we build with each other, I trust him and I respect him. And in turn, he trusts me and respects me, because that's the point. If you don't have these key elements, how do you feel that you can stay in a relationship, partnership, friendship, family that is unhealthy? Nobody's doing that. Nobody wants that even. So when should you walk away? When you don't have respect, when you don't have trust, and when you don't have value. Oh my goodness. Sounds like some conversations that we've had before. See, Whisperers, everything is a full circle moment of the conversations that we have, because we're building upon them. We want to always keep moving forward and having these dynamic discussions and being able to constantly pour into each other, constantly. And so, in turn, as one of the ladies said here, it just was so epically clear that she said it was like a bell just went off in the room. Because these are your building blocks, these are the pillars, the tiers, and the necessary factors of healthy relationships and reasons why you should walk away. Petty any little things of just tit for tat little things, that's not a reason. That means that you all need to mature some. That means that you all need to really look at the aspect of your real relationship. Is it really built upon that respect, that trust, that value that we just spoke about. Because if none of these tiers and elements are there, what do you really have? A piece of paper that says that you're Mr. and Mrs., or a friendship that you all have said, oh, we're friends, but it's really not. Now, there's one aspect that I'm going to tell you that is definitely by far a reason you should leave. And this is a clear aspect of when you should leave. And that's when there is an abusive situation. And abuse does not always have to be physical, it can be mental, emotional abuse that happens. If your partner is verbally abusive to you, or if they're physically even abusive to you, you must develop a plan to walk away. And sometimes it does require planning. And if you don't feel safe, there's always the domestic violence hotline. And I'm going to give you all that number today. It's 800-799-7233. That domestic violence hotline, domestic abuse hotline is this: 800-799-7233. You also need to develop a code word with a trusted friend or family member if you are definitely going through something. And if there's any time that you are truly unsafe, you should definitely use your phone, pick up the phone and pretend like you're calling for pizza to 911, and they will know that you are in danger when you give a pizza order to the operator. These are elements that you definitely need to walk away from. And even if it means leaving your personal belongings for your own safety, you must do it. Because you only have one life and you're valuable. And that person does not respect you. That person does not value you. And by far, they don't even have an aspect of any kind of appreciation of you whatsoever. So there can't be trust there either. Because an abusive person is not going to trust you, and you definitely cannot trust them. So, whisperers, see, these are valid reasons that one should think about walking away and not compromising over. And that's the point. We cannot compromise when it comes to our safety. We cannot compromise when there is no trust, no value, no honor, and there's no respect, because no respect means there's no love. So those are key elements of when we need to walk away. Now, if it's key elements of like the respect factor needing to be balanced and having respect for each other, that you notice that you need to work on these elements, then you have to be willing to invest in your relationship if you have not invested in your relationship. Because you only can get out what you put in. And I tell you all constantly about having value. Either we're building and we're having a portfolio that has true investment value, or we have a portfolio that is full of junk bonds and we have nothing. And so in turn, you can't help but get nothing out of it. See, relationships are complicated only if we make them that way. And when you have differences, this is the time to do some of the work that needs the attention. I like to tell clients this. Let's say you have a beautiful vintage car, or I know a lot of you all love antiques. And sometimes you get a great antique or a vintage car, and there's not much wrong with it. You just need to kind of invest a few $100s, or even like just little cosmetic things that need to be done with it. And you know that it has a tag value that's greater than the little bit of work that you have to do. Do you just throw that in the trash, or just be like, oh, look, I can't be doing all this. So what? That you lose it and you just toss that vintage car, that great antique, into the trash? No. You invest in the little tweaks that you have to do that bring that value back into that old vintage car, that beautiful, unique antique table. I mean, I have a beautiful antique table that my mother gave to me, and it's beautiful. And literally, that it just needed a little TLC. It still needs just a little TLC, but it's worth every penny. And I can't fathom just throwing it in the trash because of the little bit of work that it has to be done with it. So it's the same thing with our relationships. If there's things that need to be tweaked, then tweak them. Do the work that is necessary for them. In that letter that was written to us, she said that they had stopped seeing eye to eye, and she felt that they weren't seeing eye to eye on on her goals, where their life was going. Were they obligated because they were so many years into the relationship? But I didn't hear where there was any kind of effort placed into the relationship, or any kind of communication that she had really put forth with this. Because sometimes when people write into us, they're kind of looking for the approval or the thumbs up that tells them that they can leave. But unfortunately, sometimes we can't just say that. And the things that she had stated in the letter didn't sound like things that were really like conclusive or concrete, or felt like that I should say, yeah, you definitely got to move on. I've just not been feeling as connected, nor do we seem to have the same ideas of what life should look like, what our goals are, and even if we just are moving along out of obligation. Notice that she says, just, I'm just not feeling. See, a lot of times that's what happens. Our feelings get in the way. Our feelings ride into emotion. And you got to pause to really see, is this when I should walk away? See, this discussion was not going to be one that I think you guys was expecting. Because see, I'm not going to say that you have to walk away, or you should not walk away, or you should walk away. Because in all honesty, you have to know when it's time. So, what can you do to tune up the relationship? How do we kind of balance things to make sure we're not reacting so quickly? So when you think of a tune-up, and you all know your car needs tune-ups, because you have your car, you drive it. You can't just drive until it just falls apart. You have to have a tune-up to maintain your car so you can get from point A to point B. Be it a new car, be it an old car, it still has to have a tune-up. So these are the things that I would say. Do a self-examination. And I mean self-examination, meaning looking at you. Have you not been putting in the effort, or have you changed and need to see if your mate is open to the new things that you would like to implement, or you would like to achieve? Have you given them the opportunity? Self-examination. Then you have to let yourself be open. And a lot of times when we're going through things, that is the most challenging thing to do, is to be open. Because have you started to close off or alienate your partner? Because, see, don't forget, she feels that they are on two different pages. So she may start to pull away the necessary connection or feeling that is there, or that open communication, because she feels that they are on two different pages. And remember the small things that you really liked about that person. Remember the small things that drew you into the relationship. Because I assure you that even though you grow as a person and that you develop and you're moving forward in your life course, you just have to think back of what connected you two together. Even if you're friends with someone, why did you guys become friends? What did you admire about that person, and what really spun into the friendship? And sometimes by us taking those cues and looking at ourselves, help us. And before you think just to walk away from relationships, sometimes it's good to even seek professional help. Because sometimes we need the clarity of a voice outside of our relationships to help us. Because balance is sometimes needed. You know, Whispers, this was a great conversation. This letter was beautifully written. And I hope that we answered some of the question of when should you walk away from relationship or relationships? Because there are times that we definitely should. And so, what are the takeaways from this conversation? The first and foremost is, don't be so quick to throw in the towel, because sometimes there's needed work that needs to be done. Have that hard conversation with your friend, your partner, your mate, because sometimes we have to be clear with what we need to nurture us, to help us, and to keep the relationship thriving. Sometimes it's that simple, of those hard conversations. How do I say this? What do I say? Oh, well, they react this way. Don't put the cart before the horse before you have the conversation. Okay? The next is, be honest and open, because honesty is a beautiful thing. Being open means that you are open to receive just as much as you're open to give, because you have to realize it's a two-way street. It's not one-sided. If you're in an abusive relationship, seek help immediately. Put an action plan together, because those things we cannot negotiate on. Your safety comes first. And don't just settle if it isn't really working, because you will be miserable inside that relationship. All the elements do have to line up. All the key elements must go into that row. And those things that we spoke about that are such important key elements of respect, having trust, and being valued are the three key elements that you have to have in a healthy relationship. You know, Whisperers, if you need to meet with a therapist, as I said, I'm here. You're welcome to book a session with me. There's a live link in the description box in each and every one of our episodes that you can book a free consultation. And, let's build on these things. Don't just throw away your relationships. Don't just walk away from each other, because it's worth trying to resolve these matters. Relationships are challenging because as people, we're not one dimensional. There's so many different sides to us. There's so many different facets that you have to be willing to look at. And sometimes doing that real work takes effort. But if it is so valuable, don't just toss it away. Don't just throw away your relationships. It may be something that you really will regret in the long run. So, I could go on forever with these topics because these topics are what I love. I want you all to come back next week because guess what? We have another dynamic topic we're going to bring in, and it is, are there laws to attraction? Oh my goodness, right? I know. We need some music. We need something when I drop titles like that. It's just the best. And I also want you guys to know that you can come and get social with me because I am on social media. You can find me on Instagram at www.instagram.com/whispers_in-a-bottle_podcast. And it's at the bottom of the screen. And it's also in our description box. You can click on the links in the description box. If they're not there, just remember, if you're on Instagram, look for Whispers in a Bottle _podcast or the parent company La Paz Imaging, and you'll see my face, and follow, show some love, get interactive with us. And then on top of it, come over to Facebook. We got a dynamic Facebook group, which we're going to be doing some things in there that are going to be dynamic. Because don't forget, we have new whisperers that have joined our community, and I think we should celebrate you guys. We should have a mocktail cocktail happy hour, just getting to know each other, asking questions, what you would like to know about me, and different things like that. So, you know what? Don't forget to join even our newsletter, the VIP listing. It's scrolling at the bottom, and you also can click the link that's in the description box as well. So, I appreciate you all listening all the time, and I appreciate you being here. This is Whispers in a Bottle Grown Talk Cocktail Fridays. I am your host, Sonya LaRae, lifestyle relationship counselor, educator, fashion psychologist, and motivational speaker. I look forward to us coming back again next week at our regular time. And please, if you would like to join us at 3 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio, please make sure that you do that as well. But give us a like, give us a share, and don't forget, hit that bell so you're notified every time we go live. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and don't forget, keep our little people safe. All right, have a great weekend, guys. Talk to you.